Hey everybody, I'm Dan Farias, and I'm here at the Intermodal Container Transfer Facility, better known as ICTF. This facility, operated by Union Pacific Railroad, is responsible for helping the ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles move cargo to destinations all over the nation, and they're doing it by train. Let's check it out. I'm here to meet the guy who's going to give us a grand tour of this facility, and here he is, Mr. Cliff Ron. Cliff, how you doing today?
Good, how you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you so much. Well, why don't we start at stop number 1, which is down here at the gate. This is where trucks come into the facility from the ports, generally. Tell us what goes on here.
Okay, trucks will come in, they'll go up to the gate, the driver will give the clerk their driver's license, the clerk will enter the container number into a handheld computer, would process the container into the facility. There's a printer attached to the handheld. It'll generate a piece of paper, which will give a parking location to the driver, and then the driver will get the piece of paper, and they'll go park the container.
All right, so there's a lot of activity going on behind us here, and I imagine this goes on like all day, constantly. How does the information get processed between the guys down here at the gate and the drivers, and I mean, how does all that work?
Okay, well, let's go to the tower and I'll show you.
All right. All right, so now we're up at the control tower. The truck has come through the gate and parked its container in the yard. So, Cliff, what happens next?
Okay, what will happen next is the loadout clerk is going to physically assign that box to the car and the bay that it's going to load on. She's going to make a determination, well, the next train that we're loading is to Dallas. So all of the freight that's destined for Dallas, she's going to figure out by weight, by size, and what will fit properly in the bays, what containers are going to go on what rail car. And then she's going to put them into the computer and load plan them.
Well, this is the last stop in the control tower, and who do we have here? What's he up to?
Okay, this is Don. He's our operations manager. And what he'll do is, after the tower manager has let him know that we're completely done loading the train, he'll call the crews in, and they'll pull the train out. So and send it on its way to Dallas or Memphis or wherever else.
Okay, so the last stop up in the control tower, next thing is to actually physically get that can onto the train and send it on its way, right?
Yep.
All right, let's go check that out. Okay, so down here in the thick of it, this is where all the action is. As you can see behind me, there's a rubber tire gantry crane that's unloading the train we saw coming earlier. So, Cliff, tell me a little bit about this part of the operation.
Okay, well, you see right now is the drivers driving up with a bare chassis, which is where the crane is going to put the container onto. Once it's put onto the chassis, the driver will then park it, possibly in one of these spots over here. At some point in the future, an outside dray company will go pick up that container, take it to the gate, outgate it, and most likely it'll be for export. And it could be anything from chemicals to building materials, bales of paper. I've seen junk cars that are sent out of here and reworked elsewhere.
So about how long would it take to unload a full train when it comes in?
Well, you figure about a minute and a half per container. It just depends on how much work is in the yard. If we had all of the teams working this one track, it would be a lot faster than we've got, say, 4 teams, 1 on each different track. So it just varies.
So it sounds like you could have a lot of work ahead of you. I tell you what, on that note, why don't I go ahead and send you off? I thank you so much for your time today, Cliff. I really appreciate it. It was a fascinating tour.
Okay, I appreciate you coming down and learning about our operation.
Oh, you bet. Well, as you can see, this is one sophisticated operation, blending one of the oldest modes of transportation with the newest technology in goods movement. But it does a lot more than that. Every fully loaded train that leaves this facility takes about 280 trucks off the road, reducing traffic congestion and fighting air pollution. And you know what? With a lot of improvements planned for ICTF in the future, this place is going to be one major regional resource for years to come. Well, I'm Dan Farias. Thanks for joining me.